Hello, thanks for joining our webinar. My name is Matt Stockton, and I'm a professor and agriculture economist with the University of Nebraska and also Nebraska Extension. I also work for the Center for Agriculture Profitability, and this is one of their presentations. This webinar series is typically presented every Thursday at noon. So, while you're eating, you can digest more than food. You can digest some real important farm and management concepts. So here we are, and you can, if you have past ones you want to look at, because they've all been recorded and archived. If there's a topic you want, you can look at the list. You got to go to the CAP site, the Center for Ag Profitability website, which is cap.unl.edu/webinars, and that'll get you there. Now, today we're looking at bull selection strategies to optimize our financial health of our cattle operation. We will discuss, hopefully, how to leverage the Bull Value Calculator tool that the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's beef economics team has built to compare potential bull purchase against your current bull battery or the ones you have on hand. We'll delve into the understanding and putting critical variables such as feed cost, which is very important, of course, but that's one of your biggest cost items, interest rates and expected progeny differences, which are your EPDs, ensuring that you can make a data-driven decision rather than just shooting from the hip. Our goal is to help you make the best decision you can make so that you can make the most money that you can make. We also provide insights into calculating the true economic impact of bull investments, because there's some interesting things that we're going to talk about. We're going to guide through some scenarios to maximize the return on investment. And joining me today is Randy Sainer is one of the authors, but he's not here today. He's unfortunately in the middle of work. But I have Shannon Sand. She's an agriculture economist that works out at the North Platte West Central Research Extension Center with me, and she's been one of the driving forces behind us getting this seminar done and doing. Welcome, Shannon. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Matt. Thanks for doing
I'd have it no other way.
And thank you to Randy Sainer, even though he could not be here today because he's a busy man. So,
well, Shannon is a busy person. She's been several programs already today, and she's only got about an hour, and so she's taking her lunch and not eating, I suppose. I'm gonna probably snarf some food down later, but right now she's here to help me with this, and I appreciate her being here.
Yeah,
all right,
thanks.
so we've got the first slide. Let's go to the second slide. Let's talk a little bit about what the Bull Value Calculator is, why use it, and what can it do.
Yeah.
One of the things in evaluating a bull many times is you could make your own spreadsheet. You could sit down and do a lot of calculations, or you can shoot from the hip, and that's make some estimates, estimates in your head about what might be going on, and then put some money values to that, and then try to come up with an idea which bull would be the best. And sometimes, the bull you wanted to buy, of course, you can't get because either number one is he went for more money than you had, or it just didn't work out for some reason. But anyway, using this tool, though, provides a consistent method for comparing and making more useful and balanced decisions.
Yeah.
It provides answers to confirm or reject your bull preferences. In other words, if you already know you're comparing bulls, by actually sitting down and thinking about that and putting that information down, it gives you an actual way to make that comparison fairly and equitably. And because we're not all fair and equitable, not that we don't mean to be, but we try to be. But what happens is we have preferences. That's why maybe in today's world we have a color preference, black for black cattle. Well, there's a color preference. Well, that those kind of preferences exist in our lives, and so when we're looking at comparing bulls, that might also be a preference of some kind. Shannon, do you have anything you want to say?
I think the biggest thing is that it's easy to use, and if you have Excel on your phone, it's a simple tool that you can do when you're in the sale barn. Because we're getting towards the end of bull buying season, but I mean, that's kind of why I really wanted to push this personally, is I think it's a valuable tool. I just think of my family, and selfishly, I think of my family in general when I think of tools like this. And I'm like, this is great because it's easy. You can like look at the sale flyers and see what your indices or your EPDs or whatever your options are, and kind of come up with your estimate of what value you think that calf is going to add to your herd or your operation. And like, you can make some judgments basically. Matt will go more into it as we get along, but I like it.
Actually, yeah,
Easy and
thank you,
super
Shannon.
simple.
The other thing too is that there's a
Sorry.
thing called price drift, and what happens is you get to the
Mhm.
bull sale, and bulls, the excitement of the
Yeah, I
sale,
get
and you're there,
starry-eyed. Yeah.
and yeah, well, maybe starry-eyed. I don't know. I've never been starry-eyed over a bull yet. I mean, I used to breed cows and do AI, but some
Yeah.
bulls, just right there at the edge of where you can pay, and
Mhm.
without something to put it down in physical numbers, you may end up paying more. You may have buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
Later, because maybe you paid more than you should have, because in the moment
Yeah.
it seemed like it was worth the other thing too is you will actually be able to use this to determine, hey, this is how much it's costing me per calf because I paid this much for the
For
bull.
this bull.
And
Yeah.
you can compare that. And that's one of the things that
Mhm.
the value of the tool. All
Yeah.
right, so let's move to the next slide.
Sounds good.
All right, so this is what it kind of looks like. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a part of the page that is on a worksheet. It's on the
Yeah.
program page of the calculator. And basically it has what, 14 questions, Shannon?
Yeah. 14 different inputs that you get to
Right.
choose.
And some of them
Yeah.
aren't questions, some of them are statements, and some of them
Yeah.
are calculated on the sheet. Like line 8 is calculated, and line 13 is really important, and that's why it's in red, because we
Mhm.
really want to talk about that, and I got to make sure to remember to do that. Then the next lines where it says calculate values from lines 1 through 14. This is information that has come from information that you provided up here.
Yeah.
Okay. And this first column is basically CC stands for your current bulls. Well, I'm going to show it to you in a minute. There's
Right.
an index that'll show, or uh,
You've
a
got indices on
mapping
the
of
brain.
what all the colors mean. We
Yeah.
just love colors. We just want to get all kinds of colors. Hey, Randy,
Yeah.
welcome aboard. Randy's
Yeah.
joined us at this point. I don't know if he's got phone contact yet or what he's going to
Yeah,
get in.
I've got volume, so go ahead.
Okay,
I'll just
good.
follow.
I wasn't sure, but I'm welcome aboard. This is Randy Sainer. He's the animal scientist representative on the team. He thanks for coming, Randy.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then the next lines are just basically calculated values.
Mhm.
But basically it gets down to the fact where you want the yellows are the yellow stuff is the information that you want to
Really
know.
want to know.
In
Mhm.
other words, these are called key input variables. That's KIV. These are called KOVs, which are key output variables. This is where you want to get. This is the information you want, but you got to supply it with this in order to get that.
Mhm.
So let's go to the next page.
Sounds good.
Okay, we said there's 14 things, so I blew it up so we could read it. That was a little harder
That's
to
always
read
nice.
on the other
Thank
page.
you,
All
Matt. That
right,
looks nice. Thank you.
yeah. So first thing you want to do, Randy, is what?
No, well, I guess is the cost of the bull that you're going to buy, but also you need to know your feed cost. That's number one, right?
Well,
Mhm.
that's number
Those
2 on
two.
here, but yeah, it's number 1. Maybe it's number 1 in your book, but what you pay for the bull is also important. So there you go. You
Yes,
get your feed
those two.
cost and you got your bull cost. So in other words, we got 2 bulls here. We got your current bulls. You figured that they're worth about you would have paid about 4,000 on average for them.
Mhm.
And now you're thinking about buying a $5,000 bull, and that's how you'd put the $5,000 in there, because these squares are where you would enter that. Okay, now feed cost. If you think bulls are the same size and about the same amount, they're going to eat about the same amount. So what we've got a thing here, when you put this in the calculator, if you put 900 in here, it'll put 900 for all 10 bulls. Now, if you want to change that, you can, but when you do change that, you don't want to save it, because what'll happen is it'll take that formula out and you'll have to, from then on, put that number in every time. But you can figure that out yourself. Okay, the expected interest rate. What do you think about this, Shannon? 6% sound good to you?
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a great interest rate right now.
So you think it might even be higher than that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I think it'd
cattle
be
one that
7
I
to
have
9.
is, yeah, 7. I think mine is 7.5, Matt.
Yeah.
You want a
Okay,
producer.
so we are the University of Nebraska, and we have clout with the bank, and they love us, so they gave us 6%. How's that? Does that
Okay,
work?
that works.
That'll
That's
work.
fine for me.
That'll work.
Okay, but if you need you need to put your whatever reflective interest rate you're gonna or the opportunity cost and the interest and all those sort of things.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
how many years are you gonna use the bull?
Depends on
4
the size of the
years?
herd. Who knows?
We got
Yeah.
4 years, right? Well, there may be some people that may extend that life to a longer period, some people that go shorter, but whatever that is, you're going to put it in here. I know a producer that only used the bull for a year. Now, he raises his own bulls and has some things and some cost things. So, but that would be something you would put in there. All
Mhm.
right. So what is the expected call value of the bull when it comes time to call him? Hopefully he's still walking around. You don't want to be calling him when he's not walking around. It's going to be kind of tough to get him to the sale. So hopefully when you do call him. And so what we did, the call value right now is like $1,500. But 4 years from now, we're saying, oh, you know what? It's probably going to be higher. It's going to be like 2,000.
2,000.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we put that 2,200. Now, if you put 2,200 in for the first bull here, it will put it in all the other bulls because they're all going to last 4 years. They're all going to have about the same call value. So that's why they're in there. Now, if that's not true, you can change that. Okay. How many cows will be used to breed annually? In other words, we went with the normal number of about 25. Randy, what are you thinking about that?
No, I think that's right. If you know, if it's a younger bull, especially 25, if it was an older bull, you could
More.
maybe go up to 30, 35, 40, somewhere in there. And so, and you might, as the bull gets older, put more cows with him, depending on your operation. It all depends on your operation.
Right, but we're just going to use an average number of 25 for the life. What if you had like 2 herds? I mean, let's say you bought this bull and you use them in 2 herds, like you use them in a fall herd, and that number could be maybe as much as 50 or 60.
Yeah, yeah, especially spring and fall. Yes, that
Right.
would
So
be
if you have
pretty
two separate herds and you're using the bull, or you had a neighbor that's going to pay you what you're paying for the bull, it's something you could put in there. It would give you an
Right.
idea what it's going to cost you, because we're going to get down to that. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So what is we figure that in 4 years from now, there's going to be a 10% increase in bull values. We just put 10% in there. That's just for there. This number then calculates 10% of this plus this is equal to $4,400. That's where that number comes in. This is 5,000, does the same thing. Okay, so that's not a number you put in. That's the number that calculates itself. What are the chances he will die? Okay, I don't know how to tell you this, but bulls sometimes die.
Mhm.
I've never seen one die, but it's, they could happen.
It happens.
It
Yeah.
happens. So you need to I put 2% because I think that's what USDA calculates most cattle, beef cattle, 2%. Now that may be a little high for you, and if it is, put a lower number. But remember, it needs to be realistic for what you think. Whatever you think. Not what I think, what you think. Okay, what are the chances that the bull will injure itself? Well, it got a 5% chance. Well, maybe you've got a lot of coyotes, or maybe you got a lot of crazy people with 4-wheelers running around, and your bull might be damaged more readily. You might put that higher, or maybe lower. Maybe you just got the best place for animals, and they never get hurt at your place.
Mhm.
Well, then you need to put that at a lower percent. Okay. Yeah. Any comments about that, Shannon?
No, I think that makes sense.
Well, and when you're especially putting them in with other bulls, you can get injuries on the bulls that make them, you can't use them anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
So yes, I think that's a really logical one. Sometimes that might not even be enough, but it depends on how you handle your bulls.
Mhm.
That's right. So you should put a number in there. Remember, this is on average over time, not like a specific
Right.
bull may never die, may never get hurt. In fact,
Right.
90% of your bulls may never get hurt, or 95, whatever. But there's that 5%. Well, when that bull gets hurt, you got to replace the bull. It's going to cost you money. And this is the way you kind of account for that by having this number in there. Okay. That's why it's there.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what does it cost to care and maintain a bull annually? We came up with about $300. You may come up with something different. In other words, this is non-feed costs. This is vet costs, breeding soundness, all those kinds of things that you're
Yeah,
going to
makes
do,
sense.
that you're going to normally do on an annual basis, that are
Mhm.
going to keep the bull. I mean, it'd be transportation. You got to haul the bull around maybe from pasture to pasture. I don't know what, it just depends on your situation. We put $300 in there. That may not be realistic for you. You need to change that, change it. That's what the point is.
Mhm.
Then what does it cost to care for? Okay, there's also miscellaneous costs. Miscellaneous costs is anything that we missed in the feed cost and in the other costs. So we put $120 to capture those things that we missed. So now we have 900 plus 300 plus 120. That's basically the cost of the bull. Now, how much value will be added per calf? This is an interesting one, isn't it, Randy?
It is. And so you can do it. There's several ways you can do it. So in the one
We're
example,
gonna get into the index later, okay?
right. And so basically what I've done is I used an index. So I knew what the bull I had was, and then any extra in that index I added to the other bull, right? Because that's dollars.
Well, and
If
we're
you
gonna
could
talk
use
about that in
weight,
depth.
yeah, you could use weight. There's a lot of things you can use in this spot. It depends on what your selection parameters are, and we'll talk more about that later.
What I want you to think about, not being an animal scientist, I want you to think about, okay, so if that bull has a calf, how many dollars more is that calf worth than the bulls I currently have? Okay, that's what the question is really about. In other words, is that calf worth more? If it's worth less, you need to put a negative number in there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
In other words,
Right.
if you're buying a bull that's not as good as the ones you got, because maybe you got a deal on them and they're just amazing bulls, and you don't think the bull you're going to buy is as good. Not
you
that
got a
I don't know why
5,000.
anybody would do that, Shannon. But they
Well,
might,
I mean,
right?
sometimes people may get deals on $10,000 bulls that they paid 5,000 for. Who knows? So it happens.
Yeah. So
it's
if
rare.
you think
It
that
does.
bull that you're buying is not as good as the ones you have, you need to make it a negative value in dollars per calf. That could be weight of the calf. It could be value of that genetics in the herd, however you want to value that. And we're going to talk about that in an index here pretty soon. But it doesn't matter where you get that. That needs to come from what you're thinking you think that value is. So if you put $500 in there, you're telling me that each calf from this bull is worth $500 more than the calves I have. Okay. So you need to be realistic about this. And I don't know how many bulls would add $500 value to a calf.
So Matt, here would be a thing where that could happen. If you're a registered breeder and you think you might sell those bulls for a higher price for that much, that would be different than a commercial guy, because there's no way he's going to get $500 out of that bull in those cases. But a registered breeder could. So you can use
we're
it as a
talking about
registered
on
breeder
average
also.
for all calves from that bull.
That's right. But
so in other words, he might get that for one or two,
right.
but so he needs to think about the average, not okay. And you're
Exactly.
right.
Not just one, but I've seen it where a person brought a new sire in a registered herd, and all those calves brought $200 more.
Yeah,
because
and that's realistic. And
Right.
I agree, that's realistic.
Right.
All I'm saying is whatever that is, make sure that it's sound reasoning, and it's not like, well, yeah, they're worth $2,000 more because this is Golden H, the sire of all time. Whatever it is.
Right.
I don't know the name of the
No,
sire.
no, I agree. You need to be logical in what you put in there and make sure that it would work for you.
That's right. And it can be whatever. And if you think it's $500, then put $500. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. The other thing is, but this number is important because what it tells you is this last number that we're talking about on line 13, it gives you an idea how much those animals are worth in addition to, in other words, are you paying a price that it's going to be able to be covered by the animal's price value? We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this next thing is expected calving rate. In other words, not every cow that's bred, is going to have a calf.
Yeah.
And not every calf that's born alive is going to live to make it to weaning. So if we put down an 87.5%, 85.7 of those 25 cows are going to be bred and have a calf and take it to weaning. That may be a little high. Maybe 82% would be better, because by the time some of them aren't going to get pregnant, all the things, but we put 87.5%. This number changes the value of what it costs to breed each cow. Okay, let's go to the next slide. This is that middle part we talked about. These are the calculations that come from that. Shannon, do you want to talk about any of these?
I can.
Well,
So
if you don't want to, then don't. I'm not going to force you.
are you sure? No, so it's just the annual replacement cost with no death or injury. So it's, again, if you had to replace it, how much it's like, is that going to cost? So these are just the calculations based off of those earlier inputs from 1 through 14. So they're the intermediate calculations that go into feeding the ones that we look at later on, which honestly I think are the most important ones to focus on. So you have that annual expected death costs, which are calculated from those above, the annual expected average injury loss. Again, and then that annual interest rate on replacement costs, and then the annual maintenance costs, including interest. You have the annual interest on feed and maintenance, and then that total annual cost, so how much, and then the cost per bred cow, which is kind of an interesting one. So,
And Shannon, that's a big one, I think.
yeah.
That tells you how you're doing
How
as
much?
your cost per cow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's telling you, in other words, each calf that's born, that's just that's just cow's bred. That's not cost for calf
That
born.
doesn't
We're gonna
include,
get
yeah.
to that number in a minute.
That's
Right.
next.
Sorry, got ahead of myself, Randy. I apologize.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay, so then let's get to the other part. This is the yellow that was on the bottom of the. If you go
Yeah.
back, see the yellow part.
Mhm.
This yellow
Yeah.
part that
Yeah, I
was
was
on
gonna
the
say,
bottom.
keep it big though. That's like, so I can see
Am I
it.
freaking you out by flipping? I'm sorry. Okay, so
Okay.
the BVCQL, which is the Bull Value Cost-Calculator, that's what that stands for. Here's the results. So at that 87.5% rate, it
Mhm.
cost me $104.81 for my current bulls, approximately, to get each one calf. So one calf has to bring in $104 back.
Just to pay for the bull. That
Yes.
Just to
doesn't
pay for
include
the
Has
bull.
anything
nothing
else.
to
Just
do
to
with
pay for the
cow
bull.
cost, has nothing
Right.
to do with
Right.
anything else. That's
Right.
just the bull.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Right.
so it's very important to think about this, because now the bull that's cost $5,000, it's saying that calf's got to pay $111.43.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting thing: cost per weaned calf. Okay, so if we go back up here, we look at this line 13, we were telling you how important it is. This is $27.5 that we figure that bull is gonna add that much value for whatever reason. We don't give the
Right.
reason, but
Right.
for whatever reason, it's $27.50 that we're gonna get from that bull. Well, if you take that away from the $111, you come up with this $83.83 that is actually what the calf. If it's worth the $27.50 more, then that's what it's actually going to cost you, because that's now the calf's worth more. So you're actually not reducing your cost, but you're able to say that, yeah, hey, it's like having an $83.83 cost for breeding because of using the bull. Okay, does
Right.
that make
Yeah.
sense?
Because of the bull's value, yeah.
Yes, because the added
The
value from
genetic
the bull.
value, yep.
Yes.
Yes. To the
Okay,
calf.
so
Yeah.
that's what we're saying there. It's not the real dollars is 111.43 though.
43.
Just remember
Right.
that.
Exactly.
All right. Now, here's your example one, Randy. Do you want to?
Sure. So we use a maternal index, which if you're a cow-calf guy, this means you're replacing cows back. Now in that $M index, that's an Angus Association index. You can use any index from any breed. But basically what I'm going to say is Bull 1 had a 55, Bull 2 had a 75.
So let me get this straight, Randy, so I understand. I want to understand. So basically, Bull 1 has a index that says I get $55 more than the average bull if I use it on cows of like genetics.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
And the same with Bull 2. Bull 2 only gets $75, so he's actually, go ahead.
So he's more, but when we're comparing the two, right, which is what this will allow us to do, we can say that Bull 2 has actually got about $25 more in value than Bull 1, because we're comparing one to the other.
I don't mean to pick on you, but it's $20, not 25, because it's 55.
Oh, you're right,
75.
20. Sorry.
No, I just want to make sure people don't get confused.
And then Of course, the current bull was 4,000. The new bull is going to be maybe 5, so or 55, depending on.
Well, we're going to see that in just a minute, aren't we?
Right. And so $M, it predicts a probability difference in progeny due to genetics from conception to weaning. It's based on a self-replacing herd with a first generation replacement of 25% and subsequent 20% subsequent generations. All their progeny are sold as feeder calves. And in this index, it also figures weaning weight. So you can actually get a bigger calf, but what it does do is it cuts down on cow size. It looks at mature weight of cows. It also looks at soundness of cows and some of those things that may keep your cows in the herd longer.
But you got to remember that each one of those is weighted.
Yes.
It has a different weight.
Yes.
And
So it's not.
So you might that's where the value is coming from. And so if a cow, if a bull has a higher, if depends on how it's weighted, whether that's higher is good or bad, and it's supposedly good according to if you want maternal traits, is what I'm understanding.
Right, and that's correct. That's correct. And then you can see below what it does. It aims at, like I said, it aims to decrease overall mature cow weight. So,
okay,
and so here's an example, a $6,500 bull, and we'll just look at the green here first, but so the added value. Okay.
We took bulls and basically took 500. These are real bulls, aren't they, Randy?
Yes, they actually are from a sale that I took them from. So these are actually bulls and what they brought.
Okay, so here's the prices they brought.
Mm-hmm.
That's a top line. The value added. So it's that. So see that you're saying that the current bull set you have is a 60 M,
right?
Dollar
right.
M. Okay, so this one is 65 M. So I subtract the 60 M from this one, and I come up with a $5 added value, which would be that line that we talk about, line 13. You would put that 5 in that line 13. Exactly. This one's 19, this one's 6, this one's 9. This one knocks it out of the park at 43. And then we got one at 30, and then of course the 12, 12, and 13, and the 7. Okay. So this is what those yellow lines were that Randy brought up, and he put them in here in this part of the thing, and it's saying the dollars per weaned calf that it cost me for the bull without considering that extra added value. Right?
Right.
So you want to
just
go
the
through
regular
this?
calculation. Yeah.
Yeah. So across, you can see as the bull gets more expensive, the cost per weaned calf, until we put that added value in there, increases, right? Which is what it should do.
Well, yeah, because you're paying more. Okay, so think about it this way: you're paying more for the bull.
Yes.
It's got to cost you more for every a cow that conceives, because you're only servicing 25 cows. Now, if you could increase the number of cows, you could maybe defer some of this cost. And that's something that you maybe need to think about, because in the calf model, you can actually change that 25 to, let's say, oh, this bull's going to be able to breed 30. So put 30 in there, and then you'd see what you're going to do. But now remember, if you do that, you're increasing your risk of, things not working out as well.
Accidents and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, Randy.
So we have the difference in value, which is, putting in that added value that we have above. If you notice that green square, it's quite a bit difference there, because it's less, because you're actually increasing the amount of dollars you're getting from that bull if what you say works, right? But if we go to the bottom, and we see what it needs to have 36 and 91 cents to pay that 6,500, that extra price, right? And so we actually were 43. So we actually, it was a good buy.
He's a good deal. That's what I was thinking.
Let's take another bull that maybe didn't do so good, like this bull number 5.
Yes.
Go
okay.
down. Okay. So basically it was $149 per calf is what it is my bull cost, because I paid the $7,000 for the bull.
Yes.
I only got $7 according to the EPD. I only get $7 more value than I've already got. So by only getting $7 more, I would take the 149, subtract the 7, and I'd come up with the 142. Right. Okay. So that means But what I really needed was $44.48 increased value in order to pay for that $7,000 in order to make it equal to what I currently have in cost per, would this make this $104.81. That's what would make that, by having this at, if this value here, 7, was actually $44.48, I would basically have the same cost, but
You'd
my
have the
calves
same-
would be worth $44.48 more, which would make it worthwhile to purchase the bull.
To purchase.
Right.
Mhm.
And in this case, in this list, there was just a few bulls that actually look like a good buy, right? Because you can see several that aren't.
This one here would be better than what you got.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
because you got
it
the
would be.
19. This
And the
this one here
14.
now, this one here would be, but
Yep.
nobody else is. In fact, these down here at this end, these $5 bulls, you almost have to have $75 worth of value. In other words, you're saying I'm going to get $75 more added value out of the calves those bulls have.
Mhm.
And if you don't think you can get that, then this bull probably is not a bull you want to be buying.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it gives you a way to compare them.
It does. It does. And every index is different. Are we going to do the next index too?
Absolutely, Randy.
Okay.
Good segue.
Okay. So so this is a terminal index, and a lot of producers use it as a source to buy cattle, dollar beef, but it's a
Mhm.
terminal index because it does not as a cow-calf producer, if you're selling calves, you're not going to get all this. This is for
You're
somebody
not
that
going to get
sells
any
a
of it.
right. This is for somebody that sells a finished
This is
steer.
post-weaning.
Right.
This is
So-
only post-weaning value.
Right. So if you have a herd of cows and you're going to finish those calves all the way out, that's where this index would help you. And you can
If you
see
sell on a grid.
yes, if you sell on the grid, that's the other thing you got to have with this. So you got to make sure on these index values that you look to a value that fits your operation is what we're trying to say. But as you can see, I picked a little lower value here for dollar beef.
Mhm.
And so more of these bulls qualified. And so it depends on your $100 here. That's what our one was. He was $100 dollar beef. But
Mhm.
look at all these bulls. They're all way higher in dollar beef, except for 5. He's not real high. But so
Well,
in most
he's $14 more, dude.
well, but he's not enough to make it. He's got to be 29, right? To make what you
Yeah,
paid for him work.
they didn't make the cut, did he?
Same way with Bull 8. You needed $52 and he was only 46. And
Yeah,
that
but he's
one's
closer than the other guy, right?
yeah, but you paid
And
too
then the
much.
67 didn't make it either on the 50.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how you can use this. And like if you're looking at a couple bulls and you're like, well, I want to pay this much.
Mhm.
And I think this one's going to cost me more here. You can put those prices in and kind of look at them before you buy them. Now we know that prices don't always end up like we think they will, but at least we can get an idea when you're buying bulls, which bull might be the better buy for you if you're at a bull sale.
Well, the indexes are based on an assumed price. And if you read on the index, it'll tell you what they assume calf values were. And that
Right.
can give you an idea if you want to use those same calf values. The other thing that you can look at is these values are what they say they're worth. You may, if you're a cow-calf guy and you want to, because these are high growth animals, they may
Yes.
have, you may look at their weaning weights and you may say, that's where I'm going to value the difference because I'm going to have a bigger weaning weight calf. These are terminal calves. And I want a sire that's going to have big weaning weights. I'm not going to keep any of the daughters. And that's the value you would put in here is that from the weaning weight, probably mostly is what I would consider. That's
Yeah,
just my
yes,
opinion, but
yes.
that's something to
Well,
consider.
what you could do, man, is you could take the either the dollar weaning, which is an index also, or the weaning weight EPD, and just figure how many pounds difference, and then figure times the price of calves, and you've got
Right.
your value right
And
there.
you may not put the full value in there because you may be conservative, but the point is, what I'm trying to say is this value added, which is line 13 in the calculator, is up to you to put that value in there. You can use an index if you want, but you can also use your evaluation of how well that index works on your cattle and some of the things. The other thing I would look at is there's a thing called accuracy. Okay. And accuracy really can affect the outcome of this. I mean, let's say this 192 had like a 3% accuracy. You know, that would, I mean, I'm saying, I'm just being, being ridiculous.
Right.
But the point is that whereas if I had something that was 145 with a 99% accuracy, well, maybe I want to take some of the risk out of it. And this bull here, I'm gonna probably look at, even though this one's higher and cheaper and all that stuff, maybe that would be a better bull for me. Okay, so you have to consider that. Shannon, comments?
I'm just listening. I was like, my only other comment is depending on your operation and what you're wanting to do, however you
Okay.
value that added value to that calf, that's, yeah.
And you can use any breed association,
Yeah.
EPD, index, whatever you want to use. I just like indexes because they're in dollars, but you still got to adjust because they put a standard value in there. So you could do an EPD and do it just as well yourself. But you know what your operation needs, and that this will help you look at what you need and how much you can spend on a bull.
And you need to look at each individual bull and evaluate, is this going to, okay, I'm going to evaluate it on dollars this bull's going to return to me based on what I believe about the genetics and what I know about the pedigree, or however you want to do it. And you just put dollar values and you do it evenly across, and that gives you an idea. Then you can evaluate bulls more across the board the way that you really believe, rather than just guessing. Okay,
Exactly.
here's your indexes and all that stuff. I'm not going to keep it up here very much.
So I just put down some different indexes and EPDs at different associations. So I don't want to just use Angus, but Angus, about 80% of the bulls sold are Angus. That's why I use them. But any breed, Simmental, Angus, Hereford, Charolais, and there's more. You can use any of these indexes or any of these values, and I don't have all of them on there. I just put a few.
Haven't some indexes been adjusted for going to a different breed? They have an adjustment factors for some of them.
So Hereford has the Baldy maternal index. So that would be Hereford bulls that work on a black cow to cause a maternal good female.
There you go. There's an example of that. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Shannon, thoughts, comments?
No, this is Randy's area of expertise. So
I know, but I just want to make sure that if you wanted to talk, you had your chance.
No, I'm good.
Good. All right. We are at an end to what we have to present. The BVCQL, or the Bull Value Cow-Q-Lator, as we call it, is available, and it's at the CAP website. Livestock, there's the address there. We're going to leave it up here for people to see if they want to see it. Any parting thoughts, Randy?
No, I think this is just another tool in your toolbox that you can use to help you look at buying bulls that are valuable to you. Instead of guessing, you have a more accurate way of looking at what dollars you can spend on certain bulls, and depending on what your objectives are, you can maybe help you look at the better buy. Because sometimes when you're buying bulls, it's really hard to think, well, how is this bull going to help here, and what's he going to do here? And if I got two of them, which is the better buy? This helps you kind of figure that out, and I kind of like that, because I bought bulls, and it is not an easy thing, because it's fast and furious, and if you have some of these values ahead of time, it just gives you a better idea of what you can spend.
Yeah, I think it's to me, in my head, again, I know Matt said he didn't get starry-eyed when he goes to sales, but I was like, I know a lot of people that do, and that peer pressure is a real thing there. So I think this is helpful. I mean, because I don't know, everybody I know gets the sale catalogs beforehand. So to go through and kind of look at the numbers and decide, okay, this is what I can afford to spend, kind of max out value for bull X, Y, and Z. I think that's really helpful. So, and it's an easy tool to use, I think, overall. So,
well, even if it does nothing else, it gives you an approximation of what you're paying per calf,
which is really valuable.
And so the bull value has a lot to say. I mean, what you're paying for that bull has a lot to say with that. And then, of course, the bull's ability to get cows pregnant has a lot to say with that. And the other thing is how many cows are being culled. If you have a high call rate, like if you're culling cows for non-pregnancy and you've got that at 30%, you might consider, oh, that's going to create a huge cost for whatever bull you buy.
Mhm.
If you get 100% cows pregnant and 100% cows produce a calf, I mean, you could pay more for a bull, because that bull is going to have more calves, and the more calves is distributed over, the cost of the bull then is distributed over. So your production has a lot to do with what you can pay for bulls. The other thing is, looking at this, I'm beginning to realize that this is where you might think about doing something like synchronizing and going through and AI and then putting in a sire, because you have actual control of those EPDs and those accuracies. And you can then say, well, this is this group of cows, if I can make this kind of improvement on, is worth it. And you, by calculating that, you could also calculate what that's costing you per calf. Because even at it, there's another tool out there that I'm working on that was at Washington State that it can help you with that. But we're going to get that. We'll talk about that some other time.
Mhm.
All right, that's all I have. Anybody else has anything else before I close it up? If not, sorry.
No, I think we've covered it really well, and I think this is just another tool in your toolbox that could be helpful to a beef producer.
Yeah, our hope is to one day, maybe instead of having it on an Excel spreadsheet, we hope to maybe one day get it out on so you could just have your phone and use the computer in the background and just do a quick evaluation while you're at a sale or something. Shannon is the one she's been, let's do this. And so she's excited about that. And I'm excited about it too, Shannon. Thanks for the push. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And we look for the recording of this webinar in the archive section of the CAP, Center for Agriculture Profitability page, which you do have, and it's basically cap.unl.edu/webinars. We want you to understand that we appreciate your attendance at all the webinars. If there's any webinar you'd like to see that maybe or redone or information you want, we're open and welcome for information, because we're here to serve you. That's our job, and we do appreciate it. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.